Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions. Ladies and
Let's talk about this again.
Right? It's so weird. It's so weird. And I was so getting ready for this and having the conversation about identity and where we're going and this whole map and sharing with everyone else so we all don't feel like we're fucking batshit crazy on the train. Um the blueprint. And it's this weird thing about the blueprint and the bloodline and all that stuff and what our next chance is and our next opportunity and who we are and hold, who we hold, I guess. So I think that phrase, and I don't know where to take it, Jenna, but it's that phrase of it's our bloodline blueprint.
Well, first of all, those words, I won't even go into the mystical, metaphysical weirdness of you just using those words specifically. But before I was getting ready for this, I wrote down this sentence because I kept thinking through, like, what identity. And I wrote down, are we chasing identity or are we chasing innocence? In talking about bloodlines and let's add some more B's, right? Boundaries, all of these things that we have to explore differently. And I just kept going back to like asking myself, who was I before I was unhappy? Who was I before I ever got hurt? Like, who was I before pain? Who was I?
Yeah.
Oh, that gave me the fucking chills.
That other take that I put the other day and shared, and and sometimes people look at my stuff, I know, going, okay, what the hell is Wackadoodle Kim talking about today? But the
Well, she's
ones that get it,
fun though.
pardon me?
The Wackadoodle one is my favorite, Kim.
I love Wackadoodle. I want take me somewhere interesting. Everything is so beige and boring, and especially with this world of AI, it's all the same. Samey McSamerson's everywhere.
Yep.
But it's that you've been on stage, I've been on stage, and they always fucking ask you that stupid question of what advice would you give your younger self? And I'm usually the asshole that shows up and just says, actually, let's flip it around, right? What advice would your younger self give you today?
Yes.
Now
Yeah.
I've gone even further with that, my darling. You grow into the adult your younger self would have ran to for help.
Yes.
That, holy shit.
At one point early in some of my therapy, well, there's two caveats to this. The first one directly connected to this, but one of the experiences was basically to visualize me now meeting little me, like, and it's hard for me to even visualize her a lot of times. So it was like a little amalgamation of like pictures that I kind of remember and stories that I remember. And my therapist was basically putting me on a like bench with her and saying, have her tell you her story. Like have her share with you because that's what you do for everybody. You sit and listen to everybody's stories, but you've never listened to your own. Fuck. How am I going to start crying? How many minutes are we into?
I didn't have any Kleenex, but I have paper towel.
And the cardinal right outside, which is always my sign that my dad is visiting me.
He's hanging out.
Oof. Um, but that was a very magical transformation because again, you have become so accustomed to like writing this letter to your, future self. And that's what you do in the workplace too. Like that's the connection to, how we have to operate in identity in the workplace. And it's like, no, let little me see who big me finally is and have her explain to me what she sees. That's who you care about the most.
Is
Oh,
it's that thing. It's that think deeper, right? It's that think deeper part. We're not willing to do that and just to sit and to rest and as working with Derek, Sean, like my boys, and I'm on this really interesting path too about and this identity and being afraid of showing up of who I am in my professional world, right?
Yep.
I can move men. I can absolutely move men, see where they're going, being that voice, all of that kind of stuff. And I have a hard time having that same connection with women. It's not very often that I find a connection like I have with you. Like my girlfriends that I have, it's close. Like it's close. And it is that weird mystical dancing around the cauldron naked and howling at the moon, this weird, crazy stuff. But it's such a weird part of I'm even just afraid to say who I really am and who I love to work with and what I like to help like that whole part around there's a TED talk about, how do you start a movement? I think, and I can't remember his name that did it, right? And it's that meme that always plays through my head of you are a crazy, crazy person standing at a soapbox screaming, whatever it may be, and you will not start a movement until you have that first follower. And it's that community, that peace. We all have our own language, our own story to share. You can't do it alone, or you're just that crazy person dancing around the soapbox.
It is the hardest thing for me in my work life on a regular basis because it's not even just putting on a mask. It's literally like full biohazard, like, you know, because I've never felt comfortable being who I truly am, which is the person hanging out at the shop, cursing like a sailor, unoffended by anything, uh, curious about everything. But there are very few spaces that I ever get to be that person in. And the biggest bullshit is most of the time in the workplace, what everybody is saying is be authentic, bring your true self to work. And I mean, I've said it. I know I've said it. I would be fired immediately if I brought my true self to work.
Yeah.
People would be hurt. They would be offended. They would be like, who in the what? Like, because my intrusive thoughts, I let them win in my
Oh
real
my
life.
God, me too. Don't you ever realize and notice the ones that utilize the word authenticity so often are the most inauthentic people ever?
It's almost like a red flag for me now.
Always,
Yes.
right?
It's almost like a red flag. I literally just posted this on LinkedIn earlier. The word almost feels inauthentic at this point.
Yeah, it's dirty. It's like the word guru, right? The word guru to me used to be very magical, right? I listen to Sadhguru. Like it's what you go and take mission to, or whatever. You just sit and listen, and you go into a different plane. Now the word guru
Hmm.
is again my book, The False Prophet,
Yeah.
right? It
Yes.
honestly has dirtied up so much because we have morphed it into this weird and it's that wonderful thing about the dictionary, that meme that you sent to me about the Bible. Why no one, the butt dial versus what was it, a booty
A booty
a booty
call or
call,
a
right?
reptile. Yeah. Like we won't know the difference at some
Mhm.
point.
Yeah,
We'll be sitting there like, is it I before E, except yes.
right.
Because words really don't mean very much
No,
anymore. Like
no.
you can speak in word salad and be accepted, and in fact, it's probably appreciated in some cases.
Yeah.
I when you were talking about that, for some reason, the thing that flashed in my head about identity the most is that scene from The Breakfast Club, which happens to be like my 100% favorite movie. Like if I had a VHS, I would still like shove that thing in probably and hit play over and over again. But it's that scene where I think that's Anthony Michael Hall is at the very, like he's clicking his pen and he's going, who am I?
Right.
Who are, and then he writes that letter. And it's like, who at this point hasn't asked Chat GPT, like, who do you think I
Right, yeah.
am? Yeah. And you get this bullshit sycophant kind of answer, like you're a wonderful person.
Yeah.
You're amazing. You move mountains, all this stuff. And you're like, no, really.
Who am I?
Who am I?
We don't sit in that enough. It was I've been writing a lot and publicly, and LinkedIn I never use for prospecting. It's thought leadership stuff, right? And it's always I always really understand and I see where people are, or if they're my people or not. And they'll come back and I'll write something. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm going, "This is about situations, and this is about human conversation that everyone has.
Yeah.
I don't need you to save me. Thank you for caring, but." What you're coming forward with is the table stakes politeness, like the nicey politeness, right? It's not true. It's not raw,
Yep.
right? How many times I've been denied 6 or 7 times this year of being a keynote speaker, ravingly suggested by many people. We want Kim on that stage. She's raw, she's real, she tells it like it is. And then they have a conversation with me, and I say the thing in the room out loud publicly that everyone is so afraid to say because I'm mature. I've been through there and I have a delivery. But the person cutting the check says, we can't do that. That's too edgy, right? It's diversity, equity, inclusion. Okay, you want this, but do you really want this? Do you know what it means? Because everyone has an equal voice. The 45-year-old white male alongside the 23-year-old Black female. Everyone has an equal voice if we're going to be talking about this.
Isn't isn't conversation about provoking thought? Like, isn't that what it's, isn't that how we make those connections? Ah, so many things.
All the things. Like I just had a Mel Brooks, like when you talk about little reels that play through your head all the time, Mel Brooks and his crazy humor and all that part. And I was, thinking about identity and what you grew up with. Like I grew up with Mel Brooks, Spaceballs, Support Your Local Sheriff. I grew up with Blazing Saddles, right? I grew up with Eddie Murphy Raw, Andrew Dice Clay, like
It's okay to be edgy.
edgy,
It's okay to be outside the box. It, yes, that felt like you had permission.
right?
Yes.
To laugh about the ridiculous and that nobody got hurt. And so I keep going back to, so again, that identity of where we are and what's going on with human beings, right? And I keep going back to the senses of life, right? Taste, sight, touch, all of that. And we know exactly what happens when someone loses their sight, another sense will heighten.
Yeah.
And we honestly have lost our sense of humor.
Yeah.
And our sense of entitlement has heightened incredibly high. And I struggle so much in this world because, as you were saying before, we're all these pieces and parts. I am the soft, loving Mother Teresa. I am one of the guys that love to laugh and play in the mud and fix my own brakes and change my own oil and ask the questions of what's this tool for, right? And all that. I like to be pretty. I like to be sexy. I like to be smart. I like to be strong.
Cared for. I like people to anticipate my needs, even though
Hmm.
I'm probably going to be like, I didn't really want anything. I'm fine. Yeah.
Just let me be. Just let me be and be in it with me. Don't predict it. Don't expect, but just be in it with me.
At one point, this is a different therapist. At one point, I had another therapist who I was basically we were talking about identity, and I was saying like I don't know what person to be most of the time. Like I don't even know like who is at the core. Like I don't know that I've truly ever identified that person. And I think that most people out there probably have some little different version of that core somewhere. And and so she said, you should start naming some of them. So I literally look, I have a fucking list. Like there's multiple.
I got
Many.
names. I got names.
and then you start doing, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like, how do I ever know who to show up as?
Mm.
And and then that becomes overwhelming in and of itself because you feel exhausted just trying to, it's not even, people would call that like people, it's not people pleasing. You're trying to please yourself. You're literally trying to figure out what is the safest, best way for me to enter whatever this situation is. And when you talk about like that gender specific stuff, there have been so many times that my husband and I have been out around groups of people, and I know that I'm supposed to go hover with the group of girls. And I'll try, and they'll start talking about all of this stuff. And I'm like, I have no fucking clue what you all are even talking about. Like, I don't do these things. I'm picking dirt out of my nails, like, and I'm just kind of looking around. And then I usually gravitate back over to the guys. And then that group of girls is frustrated and angry. And I'm like, I'm not doing this because I'm interested in their conversation and I understand what they're talking about. And I can stand here and be like, what the fuck was that? And nobody's going to bat an eye. But if I do that in this group, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, there's kids sitting over there. And I'm going to be like, I fucking know. And again, I'm the person who's been the classroom teacher, who's been all of the things that's, there's one person on that list that I want to care about the most and that I want the people that I care about to care about the most. And you know what I think what midlife is teaching me? Menopause specifically. I understand why. I remember growing up and seeing women and being like, oh my God, she's like so stuck in this era, like she shouldn't look like that anymore. And now I'm like, I am fucking stuck and I want to be stuck. I don't want to grow out of this. I don't want to grow up. I don't.
No. The Peter Pan syndrome and all of that part, right? And one day I'll ask you what her name is on that list. And because it is, we all have, admit it or not. I had to name my anxiety. I named her Becky. She had to be called Becky. Because I
Oh
had a,
my
yeah,
God,
yeah, yeah.
Becky,
Becky.
look at her anxiety.
Right? I had to, and again, everything is so funny. Everything will have a name and a theme music to it. It's so
I
really,
got,
really funny.
mine is Axel. I fucking love it. Mine named mine after a car part. Let's do this.
Let's call it Clutch. Maybe it should be called Clutch. Oh, our happiness is spark plug and all that kind of stuff,
Oh,
right?
oh my
My
God.
multiple personalities, my differential.
Oh, but see, this is why if we did this in a group of girls, they'd be like,
What are you
what?
talking about?
But
Right?
that's how you find your other group. And you're like, you all, we get it. I don't, even if I don't know what you're talking about, like, I get you.
Yeah,
I get you.
I
We're
get
out
it.
of it. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
I cry so hard. The other day, sitting having the conversation with Mike, and I just said, I'm lonely. I have never been so lonely in my whole entire life. And I'm bawling. I don't have any girlfriends around me. All my girlfriends are away, right? And I live big. I've done huge things. And when people understand and they get to know my life and I get to tell my story, I am so surrounded with jealousy or disbelief that someone could actually have lived that big, right? And it's this funny thing. I say yes to chance so many times. Like that's the way my brain is. Some people are, I want to go heal in peace. And I'm that person of I want to live it all and take it in and love wildly, cry hugely, like taste it, eat it. That J. Ironwood, right? Wild is her favorite color. And I have such a hard time being around women that understand that and friends and understand that. And men, when we were talking about men, like men accept it. So women, you got to almost kind of say it and to explain it or tell stories. When you're around men, or I find when I'm around men, so a masculine leading woman, and I mean just intensity level, they just get it. There's the conversation, the words are within the storyline. There's no narrative that you have to speak. It's this unspoken narrative because it shows up with action. If I act that way around women, there's the eye rolls, there's the disbelief, the majority of it. And it fucking hurts. It kills me.
Yeah.
I want a girlfriend to go hang out with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to be accepted like yes, yes. It's that yes. It's like the runaway bride syndrome, right? Like I'm just going to keep trying to figure out how to be the right person, but really here's the crux of it. Here's the crutch. Right? The challenge is we're trying to be the right person for all the wrong people. And ultimately, God, I remember my grandma at one point, I was like 12 or 13 years old, I think, and we were in the back of the seat riding together. Uh, and I think she was, I was telling her about a boyfriend or a boy that I liked at the time, and she gave me that really cliched advice. Well, nobody's going to love you until you can love yourself.
Mm.
And I've been blessed to have an incredibly powerful and really strong love because he loves what's at my core, the same way I love what's at his core. What's fascinating to me is you talked about that like admiration. When people tell me that like they're proud of me or what I do is so impactful, I'm like, bullshit, whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. Because you and I, like, what choice have we had in any of this? My identity has been built by a lot of hard shit that a lot of people don't want to hear about.
Yeah.
That's hard for people to talk about. And I think we shouldn't, at this point in our lives, I think the beauty of this shift is that we feel more open to just say, fuck it. I'm just gonna share this stuff. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna put my feet up in these stirrups and
Blow me an egg.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Death to the old ego, right? Death to the ego. And
hello,
it's like
June. Let's do
like
this.
I want that shirt. Like it's almost this weird, right? Like death to the old ego and this transformation because it is that part that mutes you.
Yeah.
And there's those talks everywhere. There's 1,000 versions of you out there, and all of that kind of stuff. I don't understand why we just let this world mute us.
Mm,
And it never goes away. I don't care how confident, how competent, whatever it is to go through to be human, period. You're going to feel this somehow, some way. That gap never fully closes. It lessens, but it never fully closes. And I think about again that that blueprint, right? That bloodline blueprint. What is my job? Like, who am I, right? So the bloodline blueprint, who am I? What do I need to take this legacy on forward? What is my job? And I'm putting together a clip and maybe I'll show you afterwards. Yeah, but it's this picture of my mom and I.
mm,
And it's back in the day when there's those photo booths that you had and you go and take it. So we didn't have lots of selfies and stuff. And I was 16 years old and I'm smiling with my mom. And it's one of the most beautiful pictures I have. And I took that picture and it sits in my wallet. And I threw it into AI and I asked them to animate it. And I said, I want you to take my mom and I want you to have our backs turned to each other and our hair braid together to show the bloodline blueprint and the strength. So symbolizing that whole analogy of a rope and how, to starting something and strengthen and intertwine together. And my mom's legacy in part is done, right? And it's my job to continue on her name and forever have it spoken, but it's also my job to live my true authentic self
mm,
within my own identity and continue that part of that legacy. So legacy, we usually think about it being the good things, the family name, the traditions. Legacy is also about writing your own and correcting past fails. Man, Jenna, I was totally rabbit hole bawling my eyes out, and fuck you, AI. You finally did something amazing with being able to animate my mom who's been dead for 13 years and hugged me in a fucking thing with her real face. That shit hits. Hits. Who am I?
Oh, especially like I said, who am I before I hurt? Who am I before grief and pain? Who am I? Like who?
But
Yes.
I'm happy. And that's the weird, then
Thing.
that's what makes us so special. If I hadn't have had the hurt, the grief, the little girl running out into the bush to be safe and hiding out there for hours because my dad came home drunk again, broke my nose, beating my mother, left us starving, all of these things, getting beaten up because I didn't want presents for Christmas. I wanted my dad, right? If I didn't have that, I would never know what love is.
That's it.
I would never know what love is.
That's it. I remember a conversation with one of my girlfriends at one point, and I didn't get to have biological kids, and so I went through a whole grief process with that. And um, my understanding is that menopause is actually harder for women that didn't
Yes.
have kids. So yay for that!
Yes.
But I was having this conversation with her, and she was talking about her toddler and her toddler's big emotions and how she just wanted to protect them from all of the bad in the world. And I remember very harshly looking at her and being like, "Well, you can't do that."
Right.
And I was like, "Well, okay, soul crusher." But again, you can't do that because you have to have dark to have light. You have to have yin and yang, right? There has to be a level of balance. And when you experience that when identity becomes tied to pain, loss, grief, challenge, trauma, breaking the cycle of all of those things. One, it is overwhelmingly exhausting to feel the weight of ancestry, right? To feel the weight of bloodlines, to feel that there is some purpose in you experiencing all of this, that your identity is driven by something greater, more than legacy. I wrote that word down because that's another word that I feel like I'm saying it too much without giving it the true meaning that it deserves, which is I'm Eastern Orthodox, and one of the sayings that we have that I need to dive deeper into understanding is memory eternal. When somebody passes away, that's what we'll say, memory eternal. And when you really think about that, what they're saying is forever. Your identity is real. You meant something.
That word
You,
you just hit me, that you meant something, right? It's this. That's why I talk. Everyone's going, why do you work in financial services? Why are you so passionate about this, Kim? Your identity when you're a big, huge
right?
national athlete to, the big job to when I don't want to say retired, when I became rewired 5 years ago,
Right, reframe that.
right? When I
Yes.
had a chance to rewire 5 years ago and open up my own shop. And I said no to all the big jobs and all that. It's not because I don't love the industry and I don't respect the people that I sat around the boardroom table. And so many people miss this. It's because this conversation around death, life, the power possibility that money gives you, the shame, that all of these things, I need to help advisors understand what this means, what that policy means, right? Rest well, mom. I'll take it from here. The faces of legacy, where it's a picture, it's an image of a grandpa with a little young boy up on the step stool, leaning over a 57 Chevy. That's life insurance. That's legacy in having those talks. Right?
I have grown up in I've grown up in this philosophy of, well, you can't take it with you. I mean, literally talking about money. Well, you can't take it with you,
Yeah.
right? So I've grown up in this shop it, spend it, fuck it kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And that's incongruent with what can feel like happiness a lot of the times. And so it is incredibly important for people to understand. I want to say what drives people. It's kind of cliche. But what drives people? Because again, that your lifestyle, your dreams, your fucking vision board on Pinterest is all connected to what that little toddler at some point had at their core, which is still in there. And it feels like everybody's red Porsche or red Corvette or whatever midlife, whatever it is that shift to figuring out, what is my legacy? What am I leaving? Who am I? Who am I? Period.
Right, done. End of story.
Who are you?
I hardly know, sir. I've changed so many times since this morning, you see.
I do not see. Explain yourself.
I'm afraid I can't explain myself, sir, because I'm not myself, you know.
I do not know.
Well, I can't put it any more clearly, for it isn't clear to me.
You? Who are you?
Well, don't you think you ought to tell me who you are first?
Hard stop.
Yeah, it's not even a question mark. It's a period. Right? And I think that's that joy, right? So we ask ourselves that question all the time of who am I? But I do think it's a period instead of a question mark, because that's life, the internal search evolution
It's life.
of who we are as people. So do we need to answer that question? I think no, because once that question's answered, I'm dead. I'm honestly probably dead.
Yep.
Because to not be curious, to not evolve, to not become this greater, wonderful, interesting being from experience to experience, people call it transformation. Fucking to have transformation, you have to have an experience. So it's experience. It's not
life.
transformation, it's life. So it's that part of who am I, period.
Yep.
It's an ongoing story and narrative, right? Every good book, every good story, there's a hero and there's a villain, and there's always a quest to a greater cause, depending on who, if you're the hero, the villain, the story, it just depends on what side of it you're on. Like,
Isn't
that's
that
it.
that's what the whole genre of fandom became,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I'm going to tell the other side of this story, right? I'm going to show the other perspective of this. I I wrote down, I believe this was one of the same therapists. I don't want everybody to get the idea that I've seen so many therapists, but I have, because you really have to find the right one.
You
But
have to. It's hard to.
they recommended that I stop trying to find the answers to everything. Like, you don't have to have all of the answers in the universe. And that felt like my quest. Like, I have to know, what's the why? Why does this happen? Where did this come from? Why do I do this?
Isn't that wonderment? Like,
It is.
isn't that wonderment to keep?
It is, until you're cycling down Alice's rabbit hole and you're lost, and you feel lost. And that's the part where I think, again, joy, I'm so glad that you said that. because that is the part, that's what brings you back. That's what brings you back every time.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got chills. I got to look something up. Alice in Wonderland, because we're just going to, because that is that whole part. Man, we've stepped away from incredible film and cliche and scenarios and telling the story beyond and making people think. But there's something that
Hot tissues, I'm ready.
when the Cheshire Cat and the Mad Hatter said, and it was, Alice, you've lost your muchness. The frame, you're more muchier. You've lost your muchness. You've lost your muchness. Much more muchier. You've lost your muchness. Ridiculous words, ridiculous phrases. I have a word, fantabulous. It's my word. I make up words all the time.
Love it.
Right?
We have lost power. You actually used a word earlier. You said muted. That and very early in the conversation you talked about how colorless life feels, and without going into a million conspiracy theories, I will tell you that that is all so on purpose. It
Yeah.
is so purposeful that we have big gray boxes everywhere now, and everything is beige and neutral, and because the color of life, joy, it produces that critical thinking. It sparks that front part of our brain, and it helps us to literally color outside the lines. And I think we just function in a whatever word system, universe, whatever you want to attribute it to, that wants that that prefers less of that color and less of that uniqueness and muchiness.
Much.
And that's the problem. And that's where you feel like you don't fit into a group or fit in at work, or because
Yes.
you because we don't, and you shouldn't. And we shouldn't have to.
Right.
I don't want
I
to.
don't want to. My life isn't a game of Tetris to fit in a pattern in a box in a whatever slot in, right? People forget that it's not, life is not about, I love Tetris. I play it all the time because it shuts my brain off. And I love patterns because that's the way my kooky brain works, right? Right. But it's
Identifier.
right. I just love it. But we forget it's deeper than that. And it's thinking past again, right? I'm done being around people who aren't willing to think past the basic 35,000 feet high level part. The part that needs to fit in is the past and the patterns our body needs and our world needs and the experiences that are necessary that all fit together to build this human being. Right? So it's not you to fit into society. It's this whole part of these necessary bits, the love, the ugly, the whatever, to build this incredible pattern and foundation for you to have the support system to actually be this true identity of who you are. That's the pattern. That's the fit in.
I have a group of girlfriends that we committed to getting together every Thursday, and we do our best to do it, even though our lives are continually taking us off on different paths more and more. And I had an experience where Cardinal's still out there. Sorry, I just caught it. I had an experience where I damaged my car, and I was at one of their houses, and I called my husband, and before he could come and get me, I walked back to their house, and I was a wreck, bawling. It was like I felt like it was a divorceable offense wrecking that car, and I was panicked, and I hate letting people down. I hate um, feeling like I've done something wrong. And I walked back, and the way that they accepted me, it's rare. It's so rare. to be able to just to find the people where you can do this, just have these conversations, just be the you who you are, say the weird thing, right?
Right. Say the
Like,
weird thing.
just say the weird thing. Like I'll always be the person who, if somebody waves at me, I'll be like, purple, because my
Yeah.
brain is still processing a
Yep.
thousand other things in a million different places. And I just need you to be like, yep, and hello to you too.
And roast beef right back at you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right? Yeah. It's funny when I was talking about miss girlfriends and laughing and
Yes.
you have to feed all those pieces and parts. And it was funny, I was coaching really top end, high end client the other day, and they were talking about their client was a high, powerful female, all that kind of stuff, mid-50s, really strong. Went through her thing, slept and had an affair with a subordinate, someone much younger, and all this kind of stuff, and talking about that lifestyle, and just because we have to talk about all the
It happens.
all the parts and pieces. And so we're going through this, and I said, well, it works better. The other, then said that way works better than the other way around. And so he goes, what do you mean, like older man, younger woman? I said, yeah. He goes, well, why? And I said, because 22 goes into 54 way more times. and, and but it's like, you have those things that just go out of your mouth, right?
I know.
And you need people around you where you can say the weird thing. Say the weird thing that is just, again, I'm tired of being muted. I'm tired of feeling guilty for having like these emotions. I've always been this little girl with big, huge emotions, right? I'd sing songs, I'd make them up all the time, right? You're gonna get your birthday song from me. Like I do those things. I'm so creative because life is design. It's good design.
Yeah.
Right? The bright colors. Look at my office. Like
perfectly designed.
Right?
That's the and so are we. And that's again the shittiest thing is I have to remind myself, take your own damn advice. Like self the thing you tell everybody else, right?
But I think, do we need, and I think maybe that's part of the communities. We talk it out loud and we talk about this again, who am I, period. Again, the importance of community and all that kind of stuff. Hearing it from someone else, do we need to give and take our own advice all the time? Or do we need to seek out those other ones to have community connection conversation?
Well, and here's the reality. I think we both are anticipating that we're connected because our stories have threads of similarity. And that's the most beautiful thing, again, about the life that we live, is that those threads, that so many people are going to be like, yep, I identify. Yep, I think about that. Yep, I've asked myself that. Who am I? We just don't talk about it with each other.
We don't. It's having a talk again with someone else. And again, the coaching through the process of business and life are so damn close. And if we could just realize that, entrepreneurs realize that building your business is exactly like seeking a lifetime partner in a relationship. It is exactly the fucking same, except for you shouldn't sleep with them. That's the only difference, right?
Accurate.
Right.
Accurate.
Right.
But you should still have those like dopamine hits, like those like lust moments and those like,
but you don't pull the trigger.
And recoveries and exactly. The amount of times that I have said this, yes, you not only that, but you literally spend more time at work than you do with your actual spouse or the person you're in a relationship with.
They don't get it. But going back to your point about like how our threads are intertwined and weaved and all that stuff. So I was coaching one of my business partners coming through, and we're putting a course out and all that kind of stuff. And he's going a little bit deep into, well, but we're going to show up and we just got to make sure that they understand that, we're talking about a certain persona or a certain client or a certain something. And I'm like, no, stop it. Right? This is absolutely personification of mental masturbation that you're saying out loud. I don't care. Our target client is this person. So we are going to speak with bias, with bias because people come to us for advice, not wishy-washy this or that. So it's the same thing in life. I don't want to honestly have this I want you to tell it, give it to me blunt like it is. Love, magic, hate, sorrow, tears. I want full on, unfiltered, raw, real. That moves me. That changes the world, business and life.
I literally just experienced that. I had a whole nother story that you wanted me to say, but that's part of what threw me off this morning was an argument and a moment where my husband shared some truths with me and said beforehand, like, I'm going to say things you probably don't want to hear. You know, I stood there and I heard them and they hurt. It hurt.
Yeah.
It didn't feel good. And then after I processed all of the hurt, I found the fucking motivation that I needed, the reason that he said it,
Right.
the care and the love that was behind the, hey, get your shit together. Like, I know you're more than this. I know a different person. This is not the person. And it's funny because a lot of times, especially in the workplace, right? Places will overuse this like toxic positivity. And I want to be like, no, no. The reality is the most meaningful conversations, the things that have had the biggest change in my life have been the things that hurt the fucking most.
Right. The gentleman I said that to, I love with all my heart. Go to battle, go to war with him. Right. And that's that part of the greatest form of love. It really is the God honest truth that you put out there. Like that is love. If you're brave enough to tell me, if you're brave enough to show up for me and lean in and willing to go through that hurt and say the thing. And it goes right back to high school. Who are you, my friend? If you let me go out in fat ass jeans and really bad crimped hair, right? Or are you going to be the friend that says, hey,
Yep.
hey, that doesn't look good on you.
I've literally thrown a shirt away because my husband has told me that like I didn't look good on me. And I've been like, you know what? You're right.
Right?
I will never wear that piece of crap again.
Yeah. I have girlfriends that I've not forgiven to this day. My ex-fiance was cheating on me. I had a feeling. My ex-fiance was cheating on me and they knew.
And didn't
They
say
knew and they didn't tell me. They told me after, and then they felt this feeling to tell me afterwards. We knew, we had our suspicions. This is what happened. We had the same hairdresser. We heard
You
the
know
stories.
what?
Fucking tell me.
Yeah, tell me I have spinach in my teeth.
Right? I got a booger. You got a bat in the cave. Your zipper's undone.
I cry at work. I cry in front of people. Okay. And because that's who I am, right? We're just human. God, like that's the thing I keep getting back to is I feel like so many people are going to connect because who isn't awkward? Who isn't?
That
And
doesn't
if
go
you're
through.
out there, like text us or something because who are you?
I'm writing the second book on on identity, right? And persona and how we're going up the second part because I'm bursting with words all over the place. Apparently I've got lots to say. Jen, I've been diving through old pictures and who I am from 20 something, right? It's when cameras and you can afford a decent camera, but and then phones started coming out in the, mid 30s, we could take some selfies and stuff like that. But I'm going through all these pictures, mid 20s to now. I thought I was so ugly. I thought I was ugly. I thought I was fat. I thought all of these things, but every once in a while, I'd capture these moments where I felt beautiful, where no one else was watching, and I'd set up the camera and I'd take the picture and I'd look at the picture and I'd see going, what's wrong with me? why doesn't anybody love me the way I want to be loved? Or why don't the boys hit on me? Or why don't I get asked to dance? I'm smart, I'm funny. Hell, my nickname used to be White Chocolate. That's how well I could dance, right? And like all of that stuff, like why? What happened? And you forget about that everyone else is going through the thing too. But there's this, this part in this picture that I pulled up of when I tried to be a model, because my sister was a model and I was the tomboy. And I have this picture and it's just, I look at it all the time going, fuck, you are so beautiful. You are so beautiful. And it's weird. I'm going to cry because to say that now is so strange, because I'm now, after double hip replacement, gained 60 pounds, used to be like Barbie bombshell athlete. My God, cheeks that are so strong I could open up a beer bottle with my ass. Like it's like that stuff. And I've never felt more beautiful than I do now. It's so weird.
Your experiences are like mirrors. It's like a parallel universe right now. Because I have been doing the same thing, but because of menopause, I've gained weight,
Oh, Casey.
and I haven't liked myself. And I have looked back at so many pictures, and I remember when I in those moments thought that I was overweight. And looking back, I'm like, oh my God, you look great. Like, what are you talking about? And then I'll catch myself in glimpses now and I'm like, oh my God, you look great. And then I'm like, when you see yourself not looking great, you're seeing you're seeing something that people aren't looking at.
Do you,
I mean,
do you
if
know
you
what
ever
you're
want to go down a rabbit hole, like learn about the fact that you've never actually seen an image of yourself. You've never actually seen what people see of you, because you see the opposite of everything in your camera, in your screen, you don't see you. And so the fascinating thing about our identity is you can't get it from anywhere else outside, anywhere.
no
That's all
lens.
we do.
No lens will ever capture it. No lens will capture it. And it's that part of when you were just saying, backing up of that part of, when you get glimpses of yourself and you're going, oh my God, I look beautiful. And then you get the glimpses of when you look like absolute shit. So when I get that crappy glimpse of when I look like shit, the menopausal belly that I have, the apron belly that I have, I think about my ex who didn't let me feel pretty or make me feel pretty or make fun of me of you're going to eat another bag of chips or grab your belly and do the jiggle, 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 or whatever. Like that's what I see when I see, the messy hair, I go instantly back to that point in moment in my life where that person damaged me so bad about that one part about me, my hook nose, getting bugged about my nose, right? It's been broken 3 times. My crazy curly hair that everyone used to make fun of. Right? It's so weird. So it's that part of when you finally let yourself feel it and feel your way through life.
Mhm.
It's beautiful. But when you let those things creep in from before of when you give someone else power or control, the wrong people,
That's
fuck,
it.
fuck, totally
The
different.
hardest thing in most of my work in the space around mental health, wellness, grief, all of that is the best advice is the cheesiest shit that no one ever wants to hear, which
Mhm.
is live in the moment, be in the moment, be
Yeah,
mindful, be
yeah.
now. It's it's one of the hardest things to do, and it's the easiest thing to do. And it's the thing that we avoid doing the most. And it's the thing that we regret when we don't have it anymore.
Mhm.
And it's it's that reminder again that if those moments take us back, right? Living in the past is it got us here. It got us to that glimpse of you being beautiful. It
Music, identity. And it's the funniest, craziest thing. And you and I are kind of talking about it before, right? Sharing the stories about driving the Mercedes Roadster down the road and the seats would hug my ass and the stereo was incredible. And that freedom And the music. It's really I've been going back there a lot because and it's an an older, more mature thing you go through. And I know when a fellow woman is going through something big because the music gets louder and the bass is so deep. Like it's crazy, raw, loud, screaming, loving, lusting, deeper music,
Singing.
right?
Like,
Like
so
screaming.
there's, yes. First of all, you're talking to someone who literally has two tens in the back of her car. So like I still have a stereo
Right.
system. So I'm that person at the
Yeah.
stoplight who everybody rolls their window up, and I'm like, you're still gonna hear me. And my music probably have bad words in it.
It probably does. The one day I'll tell you about. Yep, yep. There's
And coming back to music, the connection to that. So there's meta-analytic research out there that more powerful than SSR for people who have diagnosed depression, but anybody who's like going through it, more powerful than the combination of SSRI drugs and exercise together is dancing. And so again, like as a woman, I grew up with people being like, dance like nobody's watching. But you grow up with this image of the crazy bitch with the long skirt and the Birkenstocks, like twirling around, and now I'm like, that's me out in my condominium community,
right.
basically like telling people to fuck off
Yeah.
with dragonflies on my hat. Like, I don't care. And now I'm like, I get it. I get that woman who
Yeah.
was dancing like nobody was watching because that's what we should all be doing. We all shouldn't fucking care. We shouldn't care.
Part of my when I got injured, right? That was part of my big identity loss when we were talking about it and why I had such a struggle the last couple of years. High achieving, good looking, 5'10", blonde haired, blue eyes, body like a Barbie, could dance. And I mean dance. And that's what I do all night. Loved music. And I had that all taken away from me. I couldn't dance for years. I finally have put a little bit of music on and wiggled my butt a little bit because I miss it. Because we used to laugh even so much. My girlfriend would laugh going, "You didn't get a hip replacement because of athletics or, your sport. This is because you danced way too much, girl." Right? Like you moved, right? Like we laugh about that. And I'm finding music again, and it's a part of finding my joy again. Right?
I love that. Sing like no one's listening.
Like
Sing.
no one's listening, dance, like wiggle, like it's one of my favorites, wiggle bum. Like I'm having a wiggle. My girlfriends from back west that I, my six pack that I left, right? If I say wiggle bum, man, they know. They know I am absolutely elated.
That
And
like shimmy when you get
the
that
shimmy,
like,
the wiggle bum, right? Like just like
okay.
everything's good and it just wiggles right through you everywhere.
Absolutely. And again, I think the power of our purpose, take me back to that little girl before she was hurt. It didn't take much for me to feel that.
No.
I'd shimmy because I saw the bird outside. I'd shimmy because somebody said hi to me. I'd shimmy just because.
The power of possibility and the happiness and going back to those moments, right? The quiet moments. It's why again, identity and who you are, making sandwiches for the homeless people, stopping and pulling over, making sure they're okay. Not saying, honey, for Valentine's Day, I don't want to go for a stupid $300 meal. I want to go get a whole bunch of gift cards and I want to go down and find all the homeless people and give them $5, $10 so they can go have a meal. But then you got the people that are going, is that real? Are you real? Because we've changed it so much. We're striving so much for this connection and we're showing up in a very fake and false way. And it's losing it even more so. So it's crazy.
That's why people want to connect to their tribe. That's why these these generations after us continue to hearken back to the simple times.
Right.
That's why kids are buying flip phones now,
Right.
because they want to
Nostalgia.
disconnect more. That's why we're feeling this desire for tribe. I need my girls, I need my community, I need my people, because that's the true human connection. We're not wired for all of this. It's overwhelm.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to recognize in my system. Like, it's not you.
No.
None of us were made to have this much information all of the time.
Go back to war times on the therapy and on all the torture therapy that have with flashing
Oh
lights
my
and whatever, right? This used to
goodness.
be a torture technique.
Listen, I literally just said to my husband the other day, getting a weekly email from my HOA is fucking torture. He's
Right?
like, what do you mean? And I was like, because it's like a water drop every
Right?
fucking week of them like, and you gotta do this, and you gotta do this, and you gotta go here. And I'm just like, ooh, it's maddening.
Yeah.
And you can't shut that off. It's part of, it's part of life. And that's the reckoning. That's the piece of comfort where I keep trying to come back to, which is there's always going to be a battle. There's always going to be a fight. There's always going to be a challenge, an obstacle, a hill, whatever. There's always going to be somebody in your way. And there's always joy and happiness and peace fucking somewhere. Right? Hell, God, take me away. I'm gonna age myself, but girl, I know why they made those commercials.
Right?
Because that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Something. Just give me a little bit of peace. Let me find that moment of peace. That's part of that identity. Peacefulness, calm, serenity.
I always get that image as we wrap up today. I get that image in my head all the time when I see that saying, piece by piece.
Oh.
Right? And it's that building, and again, going back to the Tetris analogy and all that kind of stuff. My goal in this whole entire life and my identity is to build myself piece by piece. Yeah. I love you. Thank you.
I love your muchiness.
My muchiness, my muchierness. We need more muchierness. So this is awesome. This is
much more of all of the muchiness. Thank you. This conversation went even longer than I anticipated, but I know there's still so much more that we can continue to talk about, because life isn't going to stop lifing around us.
No,
so
I think this is important. I think it's needed, and I think there'll be a whole bunch of topics that that we can come up with. I'm not concerned about that one. I don't think we would ever be limited on things we have to say.
I'm grateful for it too. I'm grateful knowing that there are just other humans out there who, again, we can be ourselves around. We can just be our humans. So
Yeah.
thank you.
I like land of the weirdos. Amen to that. I like
Fly that freak flag.
I knew you were gonna say it. Awesome.
I had to come in somewhere, right? Say the weird thing.
Right? Aw. Love your face. Have a really good weekend, okay?
Absolutely. Stay
Okay.
beautiful.
Bye.
Do what you wanna do. Just